She booked first class. She paid in full. She earned her elite status with every mile. But when she walked into that lounge, they gave her seat away because she wasn't the kind of VIP they wanted. What they didn't know, one phone call from her would burn it all to the ground. Amara Winfield didn't just belong in that seat, she defined it. She was the kind of woman who turned a childhood of struggle into a career of brilliance. From tinkering with old computers in the back of a thrift store to commanding boardrooms across the country, Amara had built her company, Solar Swift Technologies, from the ground up. Clean energy, affordable access, tech for underserved communities. She didn't just talk innovation, she embodied it. And this Friday morning, she wasn't traveling for luxury. She was heading to Chicago to speak at the Women in Tech Summit, followed by a major investor meeting, one that could expand her company's reach to the entire Midwest. The flight? Just another step in a packed schedule. Or so she thought. She arrived at Atlanta's Hartsfield-Jackson Airport looking exactly like who she was, poised, focused, respected. Her navy blue suit was sharp. Her assistant had already arranged express security and lounge access, and her first-class ticket had been booked weeks in advance. As a Diamond Elite member, she was no stranger to travel. But she was about to be reminded, for some people, that still wasn't enough. Inside the VIP lounge, she found her seat, sipped tea, and reviewed notes. A few glances here and there. She was used to it. Her face had graced magazines and conferences alike. But then she saw them. 3 staff members whispering, smirking, looking her way. A woman named Bianca approached. "Miss Winfield, can you come with me?" "There's an issue with your seat," Amara blinked. "Issue? I booked one a weeks ago." Diamond Elite at the counter. James, another staffer, avoided her gaze. "Unfortunately, there's been an overbooking. We'll have to reassign your seat to accommodate another VIP." She raised an eyebrow. "I'm also a VIP. Look at my miles. My booking." Kelsey, the 3rd staffer, chimed in without looking up. "It's not personal. It's policy," but it felt personal. Because this wasn't just any reassignment, it was a demotion. A White Diamond member had asked for her seat, and they said yes. "We'll place you in business class, seat for B," James added flatly, sliding her a new boarding pass. Amara stared at it. She had been bumped without warning, without apology, without reason. She breathed in, steady and controlled. "I'd like to speak to a supervisor on break," Bianca replied, not even trying to hide the indifference. The flight was boarding in 30 minutes. She texted her assistant, trying to remain composed. But inside, something was shifting. This wasn't just a mix-up. It was the beginning of something bigger, something uglier. And before this day was over, Amara Winfield would make sure no one forgot what they had done. She was bumped once. Now they wanted her to move again because a white woman refused to sit next to her. What started as arrogance was about to explode into humiliation. And every passenger would see it. Amara walked calmly onto the aircraft, business class boarding pass in hand, her mind still heavy with what had just happened in the lounge. She had worked too hard, achieved too much, and paid to full a fare to be told she didn't belong. Still, she kept her composure. This wasn't the battle. Not yet. Seat for B. She arrived to find someone else's belongings already there, a designer purse, laptop bag, coat. Confused, she double-checked her pass. Yes, for B. It was hers. She flagged down the nearest flight attendant, a tall blonde woman named Janet. "Excuse me. I think someone's in my seat." Janet walked over and addressed the seated woman. A sleek white passenger in oversized sunglasses and pearls who seemed annoyed at the interruption. Miss Cunningham, Janet said politely, your seat is actually for A. This is for B. The woman didn't flinch. Yes, but I prefer for B. I've already settled in. Amara stayed calm. I'm assigned to this seat. Would you mind moving to yours? Miss Cunningham raised her voice. I'm not moving for her. What's the big deal? It's just a seat. The cabin air went still. Heads turned. Then she said it. This is about me being white, isn't it? Amara blinked. It's about assigned seats. That's all. Janet shifted uncomfortably, eyes darting between them. Ma'am, please return to for A, but Miss Cunningham crossed her arms. No, if you force me to move, I'll file a complaint. My husband works in aviation. I'll have heads rolling. Passengers began to whisper. A man across the aisle leaned forward. You're in the wrong seat, he said bluntly. Just move. Still, she didn't budge. Instead of enforcing the seating, Janet turned to Amara with a quiet, pleading tone. Miss Winfield, can we speak in the galley? Amara stood, heart pounding. As they moved to the back, she kept her face calm, but inside, rage built like a storm. In the galley, Janet lowered her voice. Miss Cunningham says she feels threatened. Amara froze. Threatened? I haven't raised my voice. I haven't even stood close to her. I understand, Janet said softly, but if a passenger says they feel unsafe, we have to de-escalate. Now, it wasn't just inconvenience, it was gaslighting. You're telling me, Amara said slowly, that after bumping me from first class, you're now removing me from business because someone who's in the wrong seat refuses to move. Janet didn't respond. Then James appeared, the same employee from the lounge. We need to make a call, he said flatly. Either Miss Winfield cooperates, or we remove her from the aircraft. The word rang in her head, remove. Her seat paid for, confirmed, verified, taken. Her presence challenged, rejected, dismissed. She swallowed the lump in her throat. Then do it, she said. Escort me off. And with that, she walked down the aisle again. Head high, eyes forward, dignity intact. But the moment she stepped off that jet bridge, Amara Winfield pulled out her phone, and she made a call that would shake an entire corporation to its core. They thought she'd walk away in silence. But Amara Winfield never stayed quiet in the face of injustice. One phone call, and the people who humiliated her were about to face a storm they couldn't control. She didn't go far from the gate, just far enough to sit down, pull out her phone, and breathe. Not to calm down. There would be time for that later. Right now, it was time to act. She dialed Mika, her assistant. They kicked me off the flight, a sharp inhale. What? For what reason? Amara explained everything, every insult, every refusal, every lie. Mika's voice turned steely. I'll rebook you immediately. But this can't go unnoticed. Amara's silence was her answer. A decision was already forming in her mind. She made one more call. This time to Margaret Chen, a senior attorney at the Department of Transportation. A woman Amara had met at a sustainability summit, who'd once said, if you're ever mistreated by a carrier, call me. Now was that moment. She told Margaret everything. The illegal bumping, the seat reassignment, the removal, the staff's names. Margaret's tone shifted from friendly to surgical. That violates federal policy on involuntary reassignments. And if race played a factor, this could be serious. Can you send me documentation? Amara already had screenshots, receipts, even video clips from fellow passengers. I'll email it within the hour, she replied. Mika followed up with a new flight last minute, expensive, and not on High Skies Airlines. But Amara didn't flinch. Her keynote speech in Chicago couldn't wait. As she waited for boarding, a soft voice caught her ear. "Miss," it was an elderly couple who'd been on the same flight. "We saw what happened. It was wrong. If your lawyer needs our testimony." Amara blinked, surprised. "You'd be willing to speak up?" "Absolutely," they said, handing her their business cards. Moments later, a young man walked up. "I got a video. You can hear that woman refusing to move. It's not long, but it might help." Amara accepted his file. "It helps more than you know." Within the hour, the evidence was moving through legal channels. And Amara? She boarded her new flight, tired, angry, but focused. As the plane rose into the sky, she scrolled through her contacts. One name stood out: Derek Johnston, Vice President of Corporate Partnerships at High Skies. They weren't close, but they weren't strangers either. She pressed call. He answered on the third ring. "Amara?" Long time, she cut in. Calm, precise. "I was just removed from one of your flights. Your staff bumped me, gave away my seat, and forced me off the plane." A stunned silence. Then, "Wait. What? You're a Diamond Elite. We know who you are." She walked him through it. Every moment, every name. And when she finished, Derek's voice was tight. "That's unacceptable. I'm calling the CEO." She didn't smile. Not yet. But she knew the avalanche had started. By the time her plane landed in Chicago, her inbox was full: missed calls, messages, emails from High Skies Corporate, including one that read, "Miss Winfield, our CEO'd like to meet immediately." This incident is now a top priority. She had delivered her keynote speech. Investors applauded. Her company's future still rising. But back at High Skies headquarters, the reckoning had begun. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She walked off that plane with her head held high, and by the end of the week, every single person who humiliated her was out of a job. Amara landed in Chicago late, but not defeated. Within hours, her inbox lit up again, this time with a direct invitation from Jonathan Mills, CEO of High Skies Airlines. A personal apology, a private meeting, and a message from Derek Johnston. "Whatever you decide, just know they know who you are now." Back in Atlanta, things were unraveling fast. The internal investigation prompted by Amara's call was in full swing. Bianca, James, Kelsey, Janet, all summoned, all under review. Their stories didn't match. Passenger videos surfaced. Security footage showed exactly who said what and when. By the time the CEO reviewed the evidence, one truth was undeniable: Amara had been targeted, her rights ignored, her money taken, her voice dismissed. The decision came swiftly. All 4 staff members were fired. Publicly. Permanently. But High Skies didn't stop there. Miss Cunningham, the passenger who refused to move, was permanently banned. Her claims about airline connections? False. Her tantrum? Caught on video. Her reputation? Shattered. Meanwhile, Amara received an official apology, full ticket refund, lifetime elite status, and a restitution package that went far beyond compensation. But she didn't stop at money. She wanted change. She demanded diversity training, policy reform, public accountability. And High Skies complied. They launched new protocols for passenger disputes, rolled out inclusion programs for employees, even sponsored Amara's new initiative, a scholarship fund for women of color in aviation and tech. Because Amara wasn't here just for herself. She was here for every woman told to move. Every black traveler silenced with a smile. Every seat taken by someone who thought privilege outweighed fairness. When the news hit, the internet exploded. Black CEO removed from flight, entire staff fired. Karma arrives in first class. One call changed everything, but Amara stayed quiet. She didn't post, didn't gloat, until the day high skies invited her to speak. Not as a victim, but as a voice. In a glass conference room overlooking downtown Atlanta, Amara stood in front of the very executives who once employed those who wronged her. And she said, this was never just about a seat. It was about dignity, visibility, and justice. You can't teach respect, but you can demand it. I did, and I always will. The room stood silent, and then it stood in ovation. Months passed. Her company thrived. Her story became required reading in corporate sensitivity workshops. And one day, a handwritten letter arrived from a flight attendant. Not Janet. Someone new. Because of you, I speak up now. Because of you, our training changed. Because of you, I believe one voice can still make a difference. Amara placed the letter in her office drawer, beside her original boarding pass for seat 1A. She kept it not to remember the pain, but to remind herself of the power she carried the moment she chose not to stay silent. One seat, one voice, one call. That's all it took to turn injustice into consequence. If this story moved you, like, share, and subscribe for more real-life inspired tales where courage meets consequence. And remember, sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one holding the loudest power.